Welcome to STAR, the Society of Tarot and Astrology Readers podcast. I'm Nao.
And I'm Joaly.
And this episode is the first installment of an ongoing series we will have on the podcast dubbed AstroCRINGE, where we dive into the eyebrow-raising hot takes brought to us by the equally beautiful and terrifying nexus that is social media. Today's AstroCRINGE, we are going to tackle Ophichus, the serpent bearer, cusp signs, and the basic bitch-assery that is sun sign astrology. I'm gonna get it all out there. I think we've seen all three of these tropes, of these myths float through STAR at different intervals, haven't we?
Oh, definitely. Our community is kind of at present a pretty intermediate astrology bunch. So
it is.
They don't cycle in as often as other groups, where I imagine you would get one of the three on a daily basis multiple times a day. So STAR is not like a great example of how often we see it, but when you're out in these streets, whether you're on Astro Twitter or Facebook or basically anything, you will hear, the signs have changed. I don't know how many random group chats I've been in, like non-Astro community group chats, where they actually send the NASA announced.
There's the 13th zodiac sign. Oh my God, I'm an Ophichus now.
I don't want to be a Sagittarius. Yeah, I feel you. Nobody does.
Yeah, nobody does.
But yeah, so it is definitely something we see. I think of these three things, the first one I think we're all introduced to is the sun sign astrology compatibility shit. That's definitely something that it's, that's most likely to be in the magazine, that's most likely to just be talked about. I just met somebody, they're an Aquarius, are we compatible? No, you're absolutely not. Nobody's compatible with Aquarius. STAR is here to let you know. No, but seriously, everybody wants to know, is Leo and Virgo compatible? Is this, you see it a lot. Why does that bother you, Nao? Why does sun sign astrology bother you?
I think it's because, now it's really interesting that we talked about compatibility being the thing. Because earlier today I was just talking about how Linda Goodman's I think her book's called Love Signs, I believe it is a seminal work on this exact thing that we're talking about. And I always said I really enjoyed the book when I was younger, but as I've matured and learned more about astrology, I don't like it, mainly because I'm kind of biased in the fact that she said a Pisces woman is not good with a Sag man. She was like, the Pisces is just going to have a hard time with the Sagittarian truths at all times. The Sagittarius is just going to pop the Piscean bubble. And I'm like, Linda, bitch, please stop. Because you're wrong. Most of it, then again, maybe I should have just taken it upon myself and read more on our moon signs or whatever. But that's the point, is that starting and stopping with just sun sign astrology it's basically opening a door and then just standing in the doorway, looming for no particular reason. You're in the door. It's fine to get started with basic horoscope in the back of the newspaper, basic sun sign astrology when you're just getting into astro. That's everybody's gateway drug. That's okay. But you got to walk through the door. Nobody likes anybody who stands just in the doorway. There's a bigger world to explore. Don't stop there.
You especially can't stand in the doorway and then declare yourself an authority on all things going on in that room. No, you haven't even been through the room. You have no idea what the fuck is going on in here. So you can't just be on some basic, if your astrologer tells you, oh, well, you're a Virgo and you'll just never be compatible with a Capricorn. You know what I mean? Or then you need to probably get a different astrologer, because in my opinion, now you can come for me if you want, a real astrologer is going to look far beyond basic sun sign compatibility. In fact, many astrologers I know won't even consider the sun as strongly as the moon, as Venus, or as aspects. And I even know other astrologers that would emphasize a composite chart when it comes to compatibility, or a synastry chart when it comes to that, as an even bigger indicator. So the thing about sun sign, to summarize, the thing about sun sign astrology is it's just not enough. It's just not accurate. So if you think a bunch of emotions and hang your hat on, oh, it says we're compatible, why did this implode? Or, it says we're not compatible, so this, this can never be. Just know there's more to astrology to really understand the complexity of something like compatibility. And of something like astrology. Astrology is extremely complex. So,
right. We have entire branches of it dedicated to exploring the compatibility of two people, synastry and composites. And even those you can break down into even some smaller subcategories even.
Exactly.
So don't stop.
Exactly. There's aspects, there's conjunctions, there's even asteroids that you can put in and really look and explore something as complex as compatibility. Sun sign compatibility is very, very surface level, very superficial, and just not useful in the long run, because there's things you would have to unlearn as you proceed in astrology. Speaking of something you need to unlearn, I'm going to break it to you right now. You're not a cusp. You're not like a blend of two signs, no matter what somebody told you. You are a Libra. It's always the Libras that are almost Scorpios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
like
those.
They could have been. Mm-hmm. They're the most cuspian, I feel.
The biggest
if
FOMO.
We're going to talk about cusps. Oh, they're like, I could have been. If my mom would have just clenched it a little while longer. I could have been Scorpio as fuck, like once, and that's something the 29-degree Libras learn before they know anything about astrology. They know how close they were to Scorpio. Some of them even out here calling themselves a Scorpio. But cusps, tell us about cusps now.
Well, the cusps aren't real. And we can say this, well, we can put an asterisk in here, maybe. We'll get to that, what that asterisk means. So cusps aren't real. That's one thing you can remember. That's one thing you can scream to the high heavens. And it's a great way to separate the wheat from the chaff, because astrologers that actually look at charts will all agree. Yeah, cusps aren't real. At least zodiac sign cusps. Those are not a thing. Simply because I think we can kind of dovetail into this part where we talk about more about like the history of astrology, because astrology's old. It's old as fuck, like quite literally. It's extremely old. So the origins of astrology start as far back as ancient Mesopotamia. So we're talking like 2500 BC. We start seeing physical evidence of the fact that people were looking up at the stars and noticing, hey, some of these points of light don't move. Some of these do move. And some of these, but they only move along this like band. So that's really interesting. And so they're recording all of this information and writing it down, and they're using it to tell stories, because that's how people make sense of the world. It's how the human brain likes to experience the world, is through story. That's how it makes sense. That's why we get the concept of archetypes kind of outgrowing in a much later date. But when it comes to cusps, we have to remember that thousands of years ago, these astrologers, which often be like, if you look in the older books, they're referred to as the Chaldeans. Chaldea was a part of the Babylonian Empire at a certain point. So there's a lot in the archaeological record that kind of ties to a lot of astrology things were happening in Chaldea. So for example, like the creation of the ecliptic, which we'll kind of touch into Ophichus too, because this is relevant to that. That's why it's nice to do cusps and Ophichus together, because the dispelling of both of those things is kind of interrelated to each other. So for example, like in about, what was it, 700 BCE or so, we see the creation of the ecliptic for the first time. We actually start seeing archaeological evidence to support the concept, the recording of the ecliptic. Because what happened is, as these astrologers are observing the heavens moving and doing things, like I said before, they notice some points don't move and stay fixed relative to each other. And those are our constellations. They move in a cycle, but they don't move in relation to each other at all. They stay fixed in the fabric of the universe. Now, the wanderers, as they were called back in the day, which is the base etymology of the term planet, were lights that they noticed were moving through the sky. And they noticed that the sun, the moon, and all of these other moving lights that they could observe, which would be all the planets up to Saturn. So Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all observable by the naked eye. So they noticed these lights moving. And they also noticed that the sun, too, all stayed within this specific band. And behind in that band were this series of fixed stars. So this is the development of the ecliptic. This is the path that the sun takes and all of the other planets take through the heavens with this fabric background of these constellations. Now, the zodiac is based off of the ecliptic. So the 12 signs of the zodiac are part of that belt, part of that imaginary band in the sky. Now, it is technically true, astronomically speaking, that Ophichus is a part of that band. So it's not wrong for NASA to be like, hey, Ophichus is real. It is real. That's not a lie. But we have to reconcile and understand that, number one, astrology is not astronomy. They're like a divorced couple. They used to be very much entangled with each other. Now they're divorced, they're apart, but they have a lot of kids together. So they do have to kind of come into contact with each other, but they pretend to not know each other most of the time. So the astrology of the ancient Chaldeans is what we're still heavily influenced what we're using today, was set up on this idea that, oh, we're going to pick these 12 because these are the 12 at the time that were part of the ecliptic. Ophichus was a little bit, but a lot less so than it was today. So you have this band of 12 that they decided to divide the ecliptic. And they're like, okay, well, it's eventually math came into the picture. We'll just say that shortly, because I'm not entirely savvy on the complete development. Because again, since astrology is so ancient and it started up in multiple places and there's different systems and some of them converge. The Babylonian and Chaldean astrologies did converge with Egyptian astrology, because Egyptian astrology is where we get the deacons from. But they came up with this idea that, okay, this band is it's a circle. There's 360 degrees in here. And if we take the 12 signs and divide this 360 degrees that's in this circle, we get 30. So there are 30 degrees to each sign of the zodiac as everything moves through that ecliptic. So as we can see, when we look at a chart, which is also a circle, that, for example, the sun can be at 29 degrees Cancer, but then eventually will shift to be 0 degrees Leo. There is no
point. Which is why cusps aren't real.
Which is why cusps aren't real, because there is no point in between that in which we would say, mathematically speaking, within the concept of astrology, that it's 0.5 Cancer, 0.5 Leo. Like that doesn't, it does not exist. Now,
it's either 29 degrees or 0 degrees. There's no in between. So if you do get influence from another sign, it'll be from another, usually for Mercury or Venus or something like that.
Or the moon or the rising, which is
exactly.
That's my favorite thing, is to especially when I'm on live on TikTok, because TikTok, is a much younger generation, much younger demographic. So there's a lot of kids who are still in the doorway of astrology, and being able to say, they're like, well, what about cusps? Why do you mean they're not real? And I explained to them, like, yeah, this is why it's not real. And the reason why you probably think that you are one is because you have another personal placement in that sign, because Mercury is never far from the sun. It can either be either the sign behind where the sun is, or the sign that the sun will eventually be in. That's as far as it can go. So it's either Mercury, and some of the other personal planets. And they go and they check and they're like, oh, my Mercury was there. Oh, my moon was there. And I'm like, that's why. you have traits of both signs. That's
exactly.
I pushed them
And
through the
then,
doorway.
so Ophichus, you were telling us, you know, basically they wanted to cram it in there. They're trying to cram it in there, but there's just not enough degrees. And it messes up the whole 12 equal 30-degree slices, right?
It's exactly. It fucks it up. And that's like the main point that we have to say when everyone wants to get, oh, Ophichus. Astrology and astronomy are not the same. They are not the same anymore. They were thousands of years ago.
One is theoretical. I mean, that's why, you know, this is a whole nother conversation, but that's why I'm okay with tropical astrology being theoretical. I'm okay with astrology being in theory, and almost being a parable of sorts. It doesn't have to be exactly applicable in that moment the way astronomy is. Mm-hmm. There is intersections though, and those are really interesting. And I think a complete understanding of astronomy, or at least a rudimentary basic understanding of astronomy, would really help you really understand the concepts in astrology as well. And you would understand that why they, you know, that we don't have to include, you know, NASA is not the authority on astrology. Like, you know, they don't get to like change the signs, but it's something that pops up so often though.
It does.
Everybody's like, it's like, it does come out, I think like once a year at least. They release it with like a brand new headline as if no one's ever heard it before. And then people are up in arms, and it's just different. It's just different. We don't have to, even though it's in the sky, it's not part of what we're looking at, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's like a huge history. Yeah.
There is a huge history that's involved, and reminding ourselves that at one point astrology and astronomy diverged, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that astrology is any less relevant because it's not astronomy anymore. It's different. They used to be very, like I said, they're a divorced couple. They used to be married. They used to be together, hip to hip, and now they don't. But again, they have kids. They have kids together. They've got the planets. Mm-hmm. They've got all this mythology. They've got the fact that one of the main thrusts behind astrology was just recording the stars. They were very much together. So they do have all of this entanglement. And it's okay to be divorced. It's okay to be divorced.
I love that analogy. That is just so brilliant. You guys write that down, because it is, you know, it really is. They do have kids together. There is overlap. They are pretending like they're not connected. But I'm excited because I am going to be learning more about astronomy. So I'm excited about that. And I do think that astronomy is going to, I do think that they help each other. Like I said, I do think understanding both helps, and it'll help you understand why cusps aren't real too. Because I mean, does astronomy have degrees? Is there cusps in astronomy? No, right?
No.
Like,
no, they don't. There's no cusps in astronomy.
There's just no cusps. House cusps. That's always the asterisk that we put.
That was the asterisk.
House cusps, I swear my list can handle this, are a little bit more, they're more applicable than, you know, the science behind the blending of the signs that people try to say because they were born on the day of or the day before, or even sometimes I've seen people up to 5 degrees be claiming that they're a cusp, you know, like, girl, sit down. You are not a Leo. It's always a Virgo. Trying.
Just reaching.
Try.
Give me that Leo majesty.
Exactly. Let us know, what sign do you think is most likely to try to be the neighboring sign if they're a cuspian? What do you think, Nao?
I do think the Libra Scorpio cusps have the most. So I have seen a few Aries Pisces people reach for it too. Not gonna lie, I have
trying to be an Aries.
Actually trying to be a Pisces, because the super spiritual people are like, I want to be a Pisces, so that way I'm like a fish, and you know, I'm super spiritual because I'm a Pisces. They're the most spiritual sign.
Aries trying to lie and be a Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I imagine you just wouldn't know. Like if all you did was look at magazines and it says February 19th to February, whatever, or like the next month, March 20th, and you're born on March 20th, you're not going to know if you're an Aries or a Taurus until you put, or excuse me, and on March 20th. No, that's Aries or Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to know until you punch it in.
Right.
Until you put your chart into astro.com, please.
Yes.
Shout out, not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Astro.com. So you can get the actual degree and it'll just help you. But there is theories, and I mean, we won't get into it in this episode, maybe in some of our advanced astrology episodes. We'll talk about critical degrees and the special significance, because we all want to be a special snowflake. Let the cuspians live. And you're only a special snowflake cuspian if you're a 0 degree or a 29 degree. If you're a 28 degree, nobody cares. If you're a 2 degree, no, you're not special. Just sit your ass down. But for the 29 and the 0 degrees, there is special awards for you and special levels of intensity and anxiety that you get all for free in your birth chart. So that is, that could be attributed to, some of the erratic behavior and the hills that people die on when they fight for their cusps. I've seen many cusp massacres.
Yes.
Probably one of the first things I was introduced into the community is this fight over, are cusps real? Are they not real? I always said like, oh, well, do you think like on, what about the blending of the energies, but you just have to get more advanced in astrology.
The color analogy is my favorite. When they're like, the signs are each an individual color. And just like in real life, you can blend them like in a paint pot, like red and yellow make orange. Why wouldn't that count in astrology? It's like, because it's math, bitches. It's not art, it's math, bitches.
Exactly. It's not a rainbow. It's not what you feel like.
Right.
I think that's really important. Astrology isn't going to change because you feel a certain way. It is theoretical, so it is one of those, I don't know, I know there's a lot of conversations or discussions on, is astrology a science? Is it a pseudoscience? Well, we know for sure it's not a hard science, because we talked about Ophichus and how like we're not astronomy and we're not going to like go super hard on that. But at what point, do we impose our own personal opinions on astrology? And I think that's really up for debate. I think people use astrology in different ways. So I don't know. People get really far on places like Astro Twitter with cuspian views. I see it.
I think we could do an entire episode of AstroCRINGE just on Astro Twitter. Like if you want to if you want to experience a nonstop stream of the back of the newspaper horoscope style astrology, Astro Twitter has got you for days, and you can scroll the ever-loving fuck and just consume mountains and mountains of basic sun sign just basicness. It's really impressive. I've even seen like channeled messages for Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. Sagittarius, drink water. Pisces, eat a sandwich. Like I'm not kidding. It's like the most. It's the most.
I can't. I couldn't even do it to like do research for the show. I know you would like. I'd like look and I'd be like, bitch, and I'd show it to you, and then I'd just stop looking.
You're like, once,
because I can't. I've seen Twitter hot takes, and you know who they are in Star. This part of the show is for the Starlings. Okay, you know who they are in Star because they screenshot their own Twitter hot takes, and you see a little pictures fucking the same, and they think just because it's on a fucking black background that shit is profound. I know somebody came into Star and said Capricorns wish they were a Libra. I know that was a thing, and it was on a black Twitter background and everything. You really thought you said something, right? It's some bullshit. I can't even handle people's own Twitter hot takes that they bring into Star. And it's always themselves.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff that I see, channeled messages for half the fucking zodiac, that is some more AstroCRINGE shit. And that is sun sign astrology. You know what I mean? Because how are you going to have a channel message for all Sagittariuses? Some of them have Scorpio moons and they're evil. It's a different message for them.
A different message.
Like,
I think,
fuck.
I mean, I would appreciate people taking it to that next level. Like if you're gonna make like these general messages, pair it with like, I would have more respect for sun moon pairings than I would for just sun sign pairings. Like do the sun
moon. A lot more work.
And it's a lot, yeah.
Think of just like mathematically. I mean, I'm not here to like be the thought of mathematics on this bitch, but I'm just saying, like, it's that would 12 be different options for each one. That's some sort of like exponential.
It would be 144 interpretations you'd have to do per week to keep up with, the newspaper printing style. That kind of turnaround.
That would be too much. I mean, some people would care. I mean, maybe we're moving towards a world where there will be a demand for something like that. I mean, there should be now. I mean,
if I was paid enough, I could do that, but that would be like my whole life, just getting super high in a trance state and vomiting out words for
I mean, I know we have people like that. That's a brilliant thing that needs to be done. That's why I love that we're a society, because we can't do all the things. But we need somebody to be the pioneer that's doing monthly sun and moon combo 144 interpretations. I will promote the fuck out of you. Who does that? Somebody let us know who does that on a monthly basis.
Who would do
that? Because I'm sure somebody's got to do it. It's important.
See, what we could do? We could do it as we just have to delegate. Like some person would just take one sun sign, like you'd have to be on your sun sign team, and then like you just do, or maybe the moon sign team, you could switch it up if you wanted to, but like you have to be on a team. You need a team of 12 people taking either their sun or their moon, nice and divided up, and you just take responsibility for that particular placement and just roll it out.
What
good luck
sign
finding
do
12
you think
people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What sign would everybody have to be to have a monthly fucking deliverable of that? Because I've seen this community, and herding cats comes to mind. So I don't know how the fuck we'd manage that.
Right.
But somebody should do it. Somebody should. I think that's really relevant. I think if people had access to more information, there'd be less AstroCRINGE, because AstroCRINGE is a result of lack of info, of just not knowing enough about astrology. I mean, this level of AstroCRINGE, we've seen like advanced hot takes that are hot messes. We'll probably do an episode on that. Yeah. But like people who do know their astro, and this is also bullshit. Like the that thing on TikTok you had me do when the guy said that Saturn rules melanin, therefore Black people are having a hard time.
That is, if you guys could see
that's some astro. When you brought up AstroCRINGE, that's what I thought.
Not gonna lie.
I thought of that particular thing, because when I think of AstroCRINGE, that sticks out in my mind. So there are advanced hot takes of AstroCRINGE, but a lot of AstroCRINGE is just entry level, not knowing enough about it. But the problem is, it's okay. Nobody's going to walk into something and know everything there is to know about it. We don't expect astrology newbies or any type of new person to approach something and know everything there is to know about it. There's definitely a learning curve. The issue that we're seeing in the community as veterans in metaphysical spaces and practice is the fact that people with just entry-level knowledge have access to huge platforms. And these huge platforms just dispense a lot of like random co-star type information, which is just basically like a literary Russian roulette of astrological information that is largely inaccurate and just not useful. And that hurts us all if that's what the mainstream quality of our art form, our livelihood is. If it's a bunch of misinformation, those of us that are in the community and do make our money off of it, it hurts our reputation because this shit isn't even like factual. So I think that's one of the issues. It's not so much that these mistakes are made, but that people with huge platforms who speak with such authority, to the naked eye, they don't, to the untrained astrologer, they may not know that sun sign astrology isn't where it's at, that, cusps aren't real, but people will still say this message is for the Aries Pisces cusps, and it'll have like 60,000 retweets. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I was born on the cusp of that freaking infographic that has like all the cusp of revolution, the cusp of being a sad little bitch, whatever they are. I just always remember the cusp of revolution, but that like circulates periodically. I mean, we don't see it come through Star anymore, thankfully, but it does pop up, and we have to do the whole yes. Let's do this fucking rodeo again. Cusps are not real.
There's a lot of funny star material. There's a lot of funny star material. If you guys are ever bored in the actual Facebook group of Star, which you should join, check out our link tree. Just search cusps, and you will get to see how hilarious our community is.
Mm-hmm.
They're funny.
They are funny.
There's some I don't know how advertisement friendly our podcast needs to be. There's so much good stuff in Star. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it at some point.
We will.
But these are the common mistakes. We will explore more of them in the future. What do you think, Nao? What are you excited to talk about with AstroCRINGE?
Well, I think this episode is definitely, we're like talking about the entryway level shit. This is like the easiest way to spot somebody who is not knowing. These are like the red flags, I would say, of someone's astro skill, is if they focus largely on sun sign astrology.
Mm-hmm.
If I haven't giveaway. Seen it, right. I haven't seen much about any actual astrology people using Ophichus. I'm sure they're out there though. Somewhere in a small, tiny, toxic little pocket of the internet, there is someone who's trying to pioneer 13 sign astrology. I bet there's even a book written. In fact, I'm going to ask the internet right now.
Oh my God.
Let's ask the internet, and let's see.
You're finding out live. We're on a Aquarius Mercury side quest.
We're on a side quest. We're gonna look it up.
Yes, it's important.
I'm just gonna Google Ophichus book. Watch the 13th zodiac sign. It's on Amazon, bitches. What did I fucking say?
Okay, but is it like print on demand book or like Barnes and Noble book?
Oh, I don't think
it's different. You can be on it. Let's talk. I mean, AstroCRINGE, Amazon authors.
Oh my God. Okay.
Another fucking episode. Amazon fucking authors. Don't get me started. Like, are they an author or are they an Amazon motherfucking author?
Okay, here we go. Okay. No, you have to let me read this. You have to let me read this one. The first one I find.
Okay, they need to know. What's the result? What's our loot from the side quest?
This is the side quest that's happening live as we're recording here. So it's this book is called The 13th Zodiac, Ophichus, and the Galactic Solar System Unveiled, by the author, I'm going to butcher their name and I'm sorry in advance, by Kwame Osai Gansa, with this in parentheses then at the end of it, a morifier. I have no idea what that means, but it looks like it's supposed to be like a bonus title of some kind.
Okay,
bonus title, because it's in parentheses at the end. So
in case you forgot, alternate
morifier,
aka I don't know what that is.
Okay, so the description is going to be, this is about to be a wild ride. By the time one finishes reading the book, the following astronomically and cosmographically oh my God, I can't even do it. It's so rough. Okay, we're gonna try that again.
It's going to be worth it.
It's going to be worth it. By
Let
the
us know.
time one finishes reading the book, the following astronomically and cosmographically verifiable facts emerge. There are 28 days to each lunar month, 364 days to each lunar year, and 13 months to each lunar year. The 365, 366 days, years are false concepts. It is, I don't even, what the fuck does that even mean? It is the story designs that form the background to each lunar month that constitute the zodiac signs. Now, I have to let all of you know, at different intervals, shit is being put in all caps, just so you know. Some shit is in all caps.
Oh my Lord. This is like a tag yourself.
I should. There are therefore 13 all caps zodiac signs. Ophichus, the serpent holder, which is between Scorpio and Sagittarius, is the one which has been denied existence. The fact that no month is more than 28 days long puts a question mark on the concept of leap day. And as far as our and on all the 30-day and 31-day months. And why are Sept, Octo, Novem, Decem no longer 7, 8, 9, 10 as far as our all caps calendar goes? It seems all our birth dates, zodiac signs, and our very calendar are falsely calculated, even though galactic suns and planetary galaxies are all seen as balls of light in infinite space. Galactic suns differentiate themselves by the compactness of their light. The fact that our telescopes show only galaxies and galactic suns as the smallest units. There is no such thing as a separate or separable solar system. So now there's no solar systems? What?
I can't.
Oh wait, we're about to take it to the Bible, y'all. We're about to take this part is in all caps. This part is in all caps. So the creation story in Genesis chapter 1 is cosmographically and astronomically untenable. I'm surprised there aren't 3 exclamation points at the end of that sentence. Is only the concept of the galactic solar system, which enables us to see that there are 2,000 years of the so-called millennium. Our galaxy orbits its galactic sun over a period of 26,000 years. The 13 zodiac signs of the planetary zodiac are duplicated by the greater zodiac of 13 2,000-year millennia. Oh God, we are on the brink of entering the age of Aquarius as we leave the age of Pisces, the age of the sign of the Christos, fishes.
I can't. Please. Okay. Now there's no need to buy this book with that kind of fucking intro.
Yeah.
Is that his description?
That's the description of the book.
That's too much. Why? No. No, I can't. I don't care. I'm not like that's a very well, you know what? I learned why people are so emotional about this, or I learned that they are. At least he matched that emotional. People will come in like dying on this Ophichus Hill. And this person has obviously set up a couple funeral homes on this Ophichus Hill. They're committed to intergalactic signs, changing the day. So there's so what I'm learning, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's more to this Ophichus argument than just cram a fucking sign up the butt crack of Scorpio and fucking Sagittarius and call it Ophichus and put that bitch there. There's actually more to it than that. These people also have the agenda. It's an Ophichus agenda. What we're uncovering. Breaking fucking news.
Breaking news.
The agenda is they also want to change how long the months are, which would give everybody a 28-day month.
Yeah.
Which would be better. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's how it was for most of human history. It was a lunar, we've operated on lunar calendars because that's the closest heavenly body that we can observe moving through such a, so 13, many cultures engaged in a lunar year. That's not breaking. Is it different from what we're doing right now with I believe it's, what is this calendar called? The Gregorian. I could be wrong about that.
Gregorian. Yeah, it's the Gregorian calendar.
It's definitely different from what we're doing now, but it's not holy shit, you guys, breaking news. This has been hidden from forever. It's bitch, you've never read a history book in your motherfucking life, have you?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually today, what is breaking news for real is they're going to be doing away with daylight savings. Don't quote me, I have no additional information. And I don't know if it's actually factual or they just discussed it, but I know there is a a conversation about daylight savings, which is adjacent to this because it's like people just deciding stuff. At the end of the day, all of this stuff was just decided, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Calendars, time, days, there's some basis that we have for some stuff and some reasons behind some stuff. But much of what we do is very it's super abstract, and everybody's existential crisis of is time real is an absolutely valid one because it's not. All of this stuff was just decided. And we're deciding that we're not including Ophichus in our shit. No, thank you, ma'am. If NASA wants to change it for them, then they can do that, whatever they're doing over there at NASA. We're a star. We're not NASA. But why would NASA did they really announce a new zodiac sign or did they just announce a new constellation?
No, that's the thing.
There's a difference.
That's the thing. Ophichus is ancient. The constellation of Ophichus is recorded in all of those Chaldean texts. It's recorded.
Yes.
And it's also recorded in the Greek ones.
It's not new.
Exactly. We've been new about Ophichus. But I think the reason why NASA has decided to do it, it's really to just dig at astrology. That's all it is. It's really to just dig at astrology. Because again,
it's basically shots fired.
Yeah, because they want to be astrology is a pseudoscience and believing in that is bullshit and science. So, when people just get when science becomes their dogma, because it's really, let's think about it. Let's be real for a minute. I'm not going to, like you said earlier in the episode, I'm not going to sit here and say that astrology is a hard science at all. I'd say it's more soft like psychology is, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is it useful to people? Yes, absolutely. Is it a largely positive impact on people? I'd say it's more positive than negative. So if that's the case, it's not actively causing harm out on these streets anywhere, then let it go. Leave it alone. There's bigger fish to fry. There's more important fish to fry than whether or not somebody believes they're an Aquarius or not. So, yeah. And it's persisted long enough. It's persisted throughout the entirety of human civilization as far as we can tell. So maybe just shut the fuck up.
We have never existed without astrology.
Yeah.
As a species. As this level of evolution of the species.
Mm-hmm. So it definitely feels like Ophichus, they just wanted to throw that out there to be oh, see, the astrologers are wrong because this sign has been here. It's and just like you said earlier, people the Chaldeans just decided that they were going to divide the ecliptic by 12. And those are the signs that they chose.
Yeah.
End of story.
Exactly.
Somebody made that decision thousands of years ago.
Exactly. And NASA making a dig at the astrology community. I mean, come on, NASA, you got government money. Leave us alone. We're over here existing on the fringes of Facebook. And one of us is having a mental breakdown at least twice a week, I would say. I was going to say once, but we've been having two lately in Pisces season. Don't come for us. Leave us alone. You got government grants and shit. Don't you got a whole ass space force now? They don't need to be coming for the astrology community. They got government money. Fuck that. NASA. We could be friends. Watch me have an audience with NASA one day.
It's the divorce. We're the children who are caught in the divorce in the middle, because how many astrology people do you know? We love science and we love astronomy and we love space. We're into it. We're into it. Yeah. We're the children who are caught in the middle of this terrible divorce between these two things.
There's ways to bring it together. There is. And understanding the mechanisms behind these things, when people talk about cusps, why they don't exist. They don't exist because there isn't, there isn't a cusp. It isn't factually there, so it can't be applied. It's either 29 degrees or 0 degrees, and you're in one sign or the other. So that's factually true. And then understanding that even though there are other things in the sky and astronomy is a very complex science, that doesn't change or invalidate astrology as a system, as a philosophy, as a system of understanding, as a way in which to view the world. And sun sign compatibility is very, very surface level and can I think, be harmful to the community as a whole, just because there's so much more to astrology, and all of these things kind of invalidate astrology, and they're the first bone we pick when people try to use these things. Oh, well, don't you know there's 13 signs? Well, what about people that are blended, two signs mixed together? And then they'll come at you with some sort of sun sign compatibility bullshit, and they'll use that to invalidate what it is that we're doing.
Or they'll
And
be
it's like, no, like, at least use better weapons to, like, come for our mental health or something, our trauma, like, come for something else that we all have. Come for our medication, come for our addictions, come for something else. Like, not this stuff that we are so eager as the astrology community to fucking correct you on. Okay, anybody who's been in astrology for more than a year is ready to come for that relative at the fucking barbecue who brought the nasty ass potato salad with the fucking weird seeds in it and shit, and they're talking shit about your goddamn, oh, what you doing? Oh, you're doing that new age stuff on the internet. We've been praying for you. Bitch, pray for your potato salad. Because Geminis can't cook. And we all know this.
Are you reducing people? See, that's like one thing that we should like put a note on, is that it is okay to do sun sign astrology when you're shit posting and roasting the signs.
Yes, when you're roasting the signs.
When it's comedy, it's fine.
Yes, and it's when it's accurately framed in comedy. Our shit posts aren't to be taken seriously. I know our comment section is going to be flooded with the Gemini chef community. They're like, I'm a Gemini. I'm a Michelin star chef. My whole family's full of Geminis, and all we do is cook the fuck, bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you? I know I'm going to get canceled in the Gemini chef community.
But that's when we go say, all right, let me see that fucking chart. And it turns out they all have Taurus MCs.
Exactly. Your whole family's a bunch of
Taurus Venuses.
Taurus moons. And Venuses, and that's why you guys can all cook. I'll justify. We'll find a way to justify it. And that's another Astro Cringe thing we should talk about. Please write this down, Nao, because it's coming to me. Everybody who says, we had one in Star today. We had a live one tonight, and I actually came and did this podcast instead of like playing with what we had on the hook. But it was one that said, you guys are just a bunch of shitty women using astrology to justify your fucked up behavior.
They haven't been in the group that long.
They say that all the time. Yeah. We get that often. Like, oh, you just use astrology, like you blame it on the signs. So that's some Astro Cringe stuff. And it can be, it's Astro Cringe both ways. It's Astro Cringe on people who really don't understand what we're doing and think that we're just like justifying our behavior. Well, of course I'm toxic. I have a Leo moon. Versus like taking accountability of, okay, I have a tendency to be toxic, therefore I need to have self-awareness, or at least put it on blast, because once you make things known and people know that you know, then you can be held accountable for those things. And that's what we try to do in our community, using astrology as the way to view life for introspection. And the application would be talking about these things in this way, where people do come for us and say that we're using these things to justify it. But I think part of the healing is identifying it, and astrology will give you the safety to recognize toxicity within yourself, or things that just don't work out or aren't as easy, challenges within yourself, with enough distance for you to like kind of, okay, like it's not my fault, which is fair, okay? But now I'm aware, and these are the constructs that I can work with. It's also going to give you like strengths in your chart where it's like, I can use this to help this. So that's why these things matter, I think.
Yeah. And I like what you said about how blaming the placements is Astro Cringe in both directions. Because we have seen people who will do that, who will be like, oh, it's just my Scorpio moon, and still be out here being shitty. And it's like, everybody can have challenging placements. Some people are born with fucking Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Some people are born, it's my favorite one to dunk on.
Oh God.
Some people are born with Cancer
Mars.
That's
low hanging fruit. Your favorite one to dunk on, you're a bad person. I'm just gonna have like a reel of like Nao being a bad person. Her favorite people to dunk on are Jupiter conjunct Chiron people, bitch. Low.
With Virgo moons. Oof.
Oh my God. Oof. We're gonna get specific.
But not to say like that we can't be like, oh shit, yeah, it does suck to have those placements. Those are really challenging to deal with. But to be like, okay, I have a predilection for certain types of behaviors as a result. Because at the end of the day, it's up to us to examine our birth charts, to examine these placements, and then to think about it, to see what sticks and what doesn't. Because again, astrologers of all different ages, types, ideas, backgrounds have given up their interpretations on all of these different placements and have shared their opinions on it. And while there is consistent themes that we can see, like what everybody says about Aries, we can see like there's these bulk core concepts that will endure no matter who's talking about them. But it's usually like these little details that someone might catch on that you can be like, some of them fit, some of them don't fit. But then you have to like look at that information and then look at yourself. And I think the thing that challenges people the most, and the thing that I do love about astrology, is that you have to answer honestly. Like, you don't have to answer honestly to the damn world. For everybody who has a 12th house moon, I feel you. Like, you don't have to go running out to the streets and being like, oh yeah, what this book over here said about my freaking sun square moon, that's fucking me up. I'm definitely struggling with that. You don't have to tell everybody. You just have to tell yourself, like, oh wait, that piece was correct for me. And so now that I know that it's correct about me, what do I do in response to that? How do I be proactive instead of reactive to that particular personality trait that I do have? So it's more like using astrology as the gateway, as the mechanism through which we are self-reflecting, and then taking that inventory of ourselves and asking, what are we going to do about it now that we know? And like you said, too, being upfront about it to others lets people know off top, I'm dramatic as fuck.
Yeah.
My pride is easily wounded. Yes. And then people know. Because then when they can't complain later and say, oh, I didn't know. You lied to me. No, bitch.
Yeah.
I let you know off top.
You fucking knew.
Down in the womb lands, you knew. That's going to age strangely for others.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you fucking knew, regardless. I think all of these things are so true. And to even piggyback on that, even if astrology is fake, even if all of it's a lie, whatever resonates matters. It matters because it does trigger that reflection. It does trigger that awareness. And somewhere in your psyche, you needed to explore those concepts. It struck a chord with you. So I'm constantly reaching out to the secular people, to the people who think this is woo, to people who think it's bullshit. I totally understand. But the reason, and I've said it in another episode, you'll hear me say it in many different ways, because it is the root of my passion. Even if astrology is not factually true, the construct itself is a useful matrix for self-reflection. And if you're going down these lists of negative traits of a Scorpio moon and some of them hit home, you get to be validated. Even if it's not factually true, you get to reflect on those things, even if it's just different lists and aspects of the whole of human experience. And of course, it's going to resonate with a large portion of people. And we just divided it arbitrarily in 12 different sections of a great network of experiences. That's fine. It is still a great construct for introspection. Now, it's debatable if we should run our government or machinery or this, that, the third based on astrology. And I don't think at Star that's our argument.
No.
At Star, our passion is to use it for introspection. And even if it's, even if Ophichus is true and cusps are this and sun sign astrology is that, and all these different things that people try to throw at us to invalidate it, I will die. I will totally wave the banner on the fact that it's still useful. It doesn't matter. You can't make astrology not useful, because if you use it in this way, you will literally go down the list of a myriad of ways to be toxic, ways to be harmful, different life challenges, different personality traits, that some of that introspection is going to be useful to you. And this is why this matters. This is why we're here.
And I love how you framed it in like, you don't have to subscribe to it. It doesn't have to be factual. It's still useful. And it doesn't even have to be useful to you. You know what I mean? Like if it's not useful to somebody, if they look at astrology and they're like, yeah, this isn't for me, that's fine. That's fine. People who are really like hard on giving astrology shit remind me of the same types of people who want to be like, the Beatles were terrible. The Beatles weren't good. And it's like, okay, you're allowed to have that opinion, but they definitely were influential on the music scene and definitely sold more albums than you and your new metal ska band ever fucking will, bitch. Like,
yes, exactly.
It just will. It comes up pretty. So it's like, you can just say like, hey, the Astro people are over there doing their thing. They're not really bothering anybody. But
except each other.
Right. And astrology has existed and persisted for thousands of years. So obviously something about it is relevant and useful and stays relevant, because there's not a lot of things that do. There's not a lot of things that do. So just say, like the Beatles, you don't have to listen to their music. You don't have to like it, but you can just say, that's fine that they do that over there. I'm going to try and see if I can get my new metal ska band off the ground and quit being a whiny little bitch about people who are more successful than me.
Exactly. Let people have their UPGs. And if astrology is a UPG, that's fine. I'm okay with that. So there's tons we could talk about AstroCRINGE, and we promise you this is a series. We will talk about more things of this nature. Let us know, send us messages, give us ideas for other things that you think would be good topics for this. Nao, where can they see us? What should they click on?
What should they click on for more star?
Yes.
So the best way, I think, to connect with everything that we have going on in the Starverse would be to hit up the link tree that we have available through the Anchor app. If you're listening on Spotify, you might have to go find it over on the Anchor app, which you can view on another device, on a laptop and everything. You can find it. It'd be anchor.fm/Star the Society. And there you can gain access to our link tree. And that way you can connect with us on Instagram, on TikTok. Eventually our website will be back up, and on Patreon as well too.
Yes, we do have a new Patreon, and it is in its infancy. We are still building it out, but we are very excited to debut that. And as things get updated over there, we will be sure to let you guys know. We would love anybody who is able to support. We are absolutely a movement. We are absolutely committed to revolutionizing the tarot and astro community and being the counterculture to the counterculture. So if you are into supporting that and want to get some behind the scenes stuff, check out our Patreon. Where can they check out your stuff specifically, Nao?
You can find me on TikTok at The Real It's Nao. You can also find me on Instagram under that name as well.
And for me, I am at queen.machete on both Instagram and TikTok. And you can also check out my Patreon at patreon.com/queenmachete. It all goes down in the Facebook group though, guys. Come join Star. We have a lot of fun there on a daily basis. I'm so lucky to be able to do this with you. I love you so much. This was great.
Yes, I'm happy that we got our first edition of AstroCRINGE down. There will be many more, I'm sure, in the future. And yes, send us any and all AstroCRINGE that you see out there in the wild. You can send it to us via Instagram at Star the Society, and also on Twitter at Star the Society as well, because we'll take it all. We'll take it all. Yeah. We'll have a grand old time with it.
We're going to take over Astro Twitter, y'all. Just wait.
Just wait.
We love you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.